Sometimes God's plan for your heart isn't loud. It's quiet, hidden inside heartbreaks, detours, and delays, until everything suddenly makes sense. Meet Daniel, a 32-year-old architect who once believed in love until life broke his heart. And meet Grace, a 28-year-old nurse who still believes God writes the best love stories, even if hers seems unwritten. Daniel had been engaged once, but 1 month before the wedding, his fiancée walked away, leaving him shattered. He stopped praying. He stopped believing. But sometimes, God has to break your heart to protect your destiny. The delay wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Across town, Grace was praying for a stranger's healing. And in her loneliness, she whispered,
Lord, if you can use my emptiness to serve others, do it. Just don't let me lose faith in love.
That prayer didn't vanish into the air. It echoed through heaven and began to move Daniel's life toward hers. One rainy evening, Daniel missed his train. Frustrated, he entered a quiet cafe to wait out the storm. He didn't know that Grace, exhausted from a hospital shift, had just stepped in too. They sat at opposite corners. Two strangers, two stories, one author. Grace spilled coffee on her scrubs. Daniel offered his handkerchief. A simple, awkward moment. But in God's hands, even accidents aren't accidents. That's how heaven starts introductions. They started talking, strangers opening old wounds. Daniel confessed he was once left at the altar. Grace admitted she was once preparing for a wedding that never happened. Different stories, same pain. Their hearts recognized each other before their minds did. Sometimes God connects two people not through perfection, but through shared brokenness. They met often after that. Coffee turned into friendship. Laughter turned into hope. And then, silence. Daniel stopped coming. No calls, no messages. Grace thought God was teasing her heart again. But Daniel wasn't gone. He was in the hospital, fighting for his life after an accident. When Grace saw his name on the patient list, she froze. She had been praying for a man in that room, never realizing it was him. She sat beside him every day, praying, believing. The nurse became the intercessor. Her love became his lifeline. When Daniel finally opened his eyes, the first person he saw was Grace. He smiled weakly and whispered,
"You're the answer to my prayer. That's why I did not stop praying."
In that moment, heaven's plan became clear. This wasn't coincidence. It was divine choreography. But even divine connections face human fear. Daniel doubted his worth. Grace feared being hurt again. So they walked away. Not in anger, but in uncertainty. And yet, sometimes God separates you for a season to strengthen what He's building for a lifetime.
1 year later, the same cafe, the same rain. Grace sat by the window, waiting, praying. The door opened. Daniel walked in. He smiled.
Grace, I finally understand. God didn't forget me when He broke me. He was leading me to you.
Grace stood, tears.
And He didn't make me wait for nothing. He was teaching me to love like He does, patiently, faithfully, without giving up.
They held hands. The same rain that once separated them now shimmered like grace itself.
When God writes your love story, He doesn't just connect hearts, He connects purposes. Every delay, every detour, every heartbreak is a thread in His masterpiece. Don't rush His timing, because sometimes the most shocking way God connects you to your soulmate is by first connecting you to Himself.
Wait on God's timing. His connections are never random. They're divine.